catch and kind of throw you to the ground. That nice Muay Thai sweep that you just saw Fiziev do.
Oh! Stop!
Oh my goodness!
Welcome to Kyle Anthony's UFC betting show. I am Kyle Anthony, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to the betting show for UFC on ESPN between Rafael Fiziev and Rafael dos Anjos. Fiziev, whatever, we'll figure that out later. But we're going to be talking two plays like we always do here, including the main event of the evening. And I am so excited to break this one down because we are coming off another dominating performance last weekend for clients. 4-1. Ended up cashing in 12.36 units on the evening. Just a great night overall. We did hit on our 5% max play, which was on Jalen Turner, minus 125. He goes out there, he steamrolls through Brad Riddell. Got that one cashed in, as well as we did have Duplessis at plus money as well. He goes out there, gets the job done. Some dumb shit early, but he gets the job done for us, needless to say. Overall, 12.36 units on the night. Now that cashes in 16 of 22 UFC events this year. We are very close to already hitting plus 100 units on the year. So listen, we're having a great year, but like I always say, we gotta move forward. It's great we're hitting all these, but the only way we can be consistent is by always looking to the next event. That's the great part about UFC, like I always say here, there's always an upcoming event, and we gotta just move to that next one here, not change our betting style, sit on what we sit on in our bankroll, and consistently go out there and win money, limiting our losses and looking to expand on our wins. So there you have it there, a big performance overall. I'm still buzzing about that though, but we gotta look to this weekend. I'm excited about it. We're gonna be talking Rafael Fiziev versus Rafael dos Anjos. Before we get into this, definitely like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at Kyle Anthony UFC. Always appreciate the banter, the conversation. It's always great to hear, we're not always going to agree on it, but it's always great to have the banter. And again, it's us against the bookies. That's how this all works here. So we're going to talk Rafael Fiziev versus Rafael dos Anjos. Fiziev is minus 235. On the other side, we've got RDA, who is plus 180, like you always do here. We're going to talk about 3 fights for each fighter, see what we see if one fighter can expose the other fighter, and if the line makes sense to place a wager. So we're first going to talk Rafael Fiziev, and 3 fights ago, he fought Renato Moicano. Now this one here I thought was a really interesting fight, just on the fact that, you've got Moicano, who is definitely very well-rounded, but you get, he's looking to get this to the ground. He's looking to kind of get this to the ground. And this was a spot here where you heard the corner, and even kind of the lead up is they were kind of looking to work standing first against Fiziev, stand first with him, try to strike with him, and then work in a takedown. Or if you hurt him a little bit, then work in the takedown. And pretty much for the whole first round, mostly it was all standing. I think there was maybe one time that Moicano looked to level change, didn't really do too much, but either way, Fiziev goes out there, his movement was great, his counters were great, he looked sharp, and that's something that we're going to talk a lot about when we're talking about Fiziev fights, is because his movement is fantastic. I mean, he does not stop moving, does not stop bouncing around, does not stop giving his opponents different looks, and that really has created a lot of, it's very hard to kind of pick up where his attacks are coming from, and you add the fact of how quick his combinations are, his body kicks, how quick he can snap those off. It was too much for Moicano. He did okay early, ended up getting clipped, dropped. Fiziev gets the job done, gets the finish in the first round by KO. So there you have it there. 2 fights ago, he fought Bobby Green. Now, first thing is that Bobby Green is really underrated when it comes to his striking. He has fantastic striking. We've talked about him a couple times here before. We've cashed in on him a couple times here before. And I always think that his just that striking is very, very underrated. And once again, Fiziev was utilizing his movement. Really fantastic. The way the angles he was doing, really working combinations from different spots, faking, feinting, and it really caused some problems. Bobby was in there. He's a gangster, man. He goes in there. He's throwing some big shots. He made a round kind of close, but overall, it was really the better shots that were coming from Fiziev throughout. The more damaging shots were coming from him. And even the fact that even when Bobby Green started to feel a little bit more comfortable, Fiziev throws different combinations, and the one thing he does also is he's very good at these level-changing attacks. He doesn't just headhunt, or he doesn't just, spam leg kicks. He mixes it up just incredibly well, and just going back and watching tape on him, you really see the level of striking that this guy is at, and just really peaking at each fight. He's just getting more and more comfortable inside the UFC cage. But he goes out there, he gets a decision victory over Bobby Green. And then most recently, Fiziev fought Brad Riddell. And this was one here where the interesting side story of this one is really that Brad Riddell was a coach at Tiger Muay Thai. And when he left, Fiziev came in as his replacement at Tiger Muay Thai. So there was a little bit of backstory between here. One, that's such a prestigious gym to be a part of. But this was basically a kickboxing match overall. Both guys throughout this fight were pretty much throwing 100% power behind everything. They, walking him down. You saw Fiziev kind of moving forward, walking him down. Riddell had, tough as nails Riddell is, standing in the pocket, exchanging. And again, the counters, the fakes, the feints. I'm going to keep talking about that pretty much of all of his fights, but Fiziev is just so smart how he kind of incorporates these behind his strikes. He gets you to react, pulls out that reaction, and is able to counter with a nice combination. And especially the fact of how quick he can fire these off. He gets, certain spots he was getting Riddell to kind of move. Both of them were landing decent shots, but overall it was really Fiziev kind of dictating the pace going into that third round. You saw him moving forward. You saw that Fiziev he's fine kind of being squared up really, really tight because, again, he works different angles. So he goes in there, throws a spinning wheel kick that hurts Riddell. Riddell goes up against the fence. He finishes him off, gets the third round TKO finish. So there you have it there. On the other side, we've got RDA. RDA 3 fights ago fought Michael Chiesa. Chiesa, I'm not that big on to begin with, honestly, to be completely honest here. And even his commentating, I'm not that big on. But in this spot here, Chiesa kind of wet blanketed him here. He kind of, took him down, took RDA down, kept him down, kept smothering, pushing him up against the fence. And a lot of that, it was pretty much round after round after round, was kind of the same thing here. He couldn't really get distance. RDA, again, was well-rounded guy, black belt credentials when it comes to BJJ. He's got a lot of great ability there. But Chiesa just had enough to control him, keep top control. RDA was having problems kind of trying to get space, but overall in this fight here, it was a losing decision for RDA. Michael Chiesa goes out there and gets the victory. And then 2 fights ago, he fought Paul Felder. Now, this was one here where Felder was coming in at short notice. I think it was days, if I do remember correctly, and Felder was training for a decathlon. Kind of crazy situation. He jumps in here, and early, I gotta say, that Felder was landing. Felder was, and you could tell too in this, where Felder was not that real bulky, he's always this chiseled guy. Obviously he was in amazing shape, but he's training for a decathlon. He's probably trying to shed some of that bulkiness to him so he can go out there and compete. So he goes in this fight here, he looked great early. He was landing good shots. They were exchanging really well. Felder's, again, guy who's not scared to get scrappy in there. But this was a spot here where it was all RDA with pressure, moving forward, takedowns. He kind of took what Chiesa did to him, the past fight, and did that exact same situation to Paul Felder, just grappling, getting him down, keeping position, controlling, even some of the spots too, I gotta say though, that RDA had some nice combinations, and then really utilizing just the combinations to cut distance, to kind of throw his Felder off, and then look for the takedown, or at least push him up against the fence, control the position. Pretty much it was a 50-45 for everybody there. So RDA goes out there and gets the decision victory. And then most recently, he also fought Renato Moicano. And this was at 160. It was another short notice fight here. And similar game plan again with Felder. Going in there, pushing forward, looking for takedowns, keeping him there, not looking to get in these crazy wars or these crazy battles that he's been into. He's kind of changing some of that game plan a little bit here, but he had a dominating win. Not much to go over here because he took him down, he did the same thing, but again, is that going to be something that he could use Saturday night? It's a possibility. So with that being said, we've got now Fiziev minus 235, we've got RDA plus 180, and, like I said, Fiziev is a, Tiger Muay Thai coach. He is an elite level striker. Probably the highest that you can really get when it comes to striking. I'm not saying he is the best, but when it comes to credentials, he's probably way up there. But the first thing here is, and we talked about it before, is Fiziev's movement. And I think that is going to really present a lot of problems for RDA. There's just no way that these two guys could really stand and strike, and the way that Fiziev keeps moving. Now, can he do that over 5 rounds? I think so. I think he's able to kind of keep that going. And no wasted movement. So with the fact that he's moving around is one thing, and can he keep doing it? But with his strikes, he does not, whatever he's throwing, there's an intention behind it. He really is that smart when it comes to his striking. We've got RDA, who's a little bit slower, who definitely doesn't have as much when it comes to his ability to stand up. Again, he's good. He's not Fiziev's level. And the fact he disguises these kicks so well, he really is able to throw these hard body kicks, mix it up really nicely, and then work a different angle and throw another combination. Faking, feinting, pulling out some combinations, countering from those spots. I don't think that's a spot where RDA can find success. And if you talk about explosiveness, RDA is just not there when it comes to explosiveness. You've got Fiziev, who is just really, again, a really strong striker. His versatile arsenal that he has, the power body kicks that he brings, I think that overall is really going to be tough for RDA to really overcome. And the one thing that I like that Fiziev does, and you can tell, again, you can tell he's a coach, is he makes adjustments in the fight, during the fight. And of course his coach, his own corner, is helping him make those adjustments. But you can tell in certain fights in the past where something's kind of going on, he doesn't like it, or he's really in there collecting data and then utilizing that right at that moment to impact the fight, to get himself a better opportunity to get the win. So those are the kind of things that really brings him to the next level. But when you talk about the grappling side of things, is that something that RDA can do against Fiziev on Saturday night? And we just talked about it, was the last 2 fights. That's kind of what RDA did. You know, he's getting up there when it comes to age, but that's kind of been the way he's looking at. Utilize his jiu-jitsu, get it to the ground, make it dirty. He cannot stay at range with Fiziev over 5 rounds. He's never going to win that fight. He's not going to come close to it. And I think that he would possibly get knocked out if he just stands at range and bangs with him. So I think he's going to have to do the smothering. He's going to have to get on him. He's going to have to get his back to the cage. We're talking about now the smaller cage. We're talking about the smaller cage there, which I think it's going to help RDA, at least cutting distance, getting his hands on Fiziev in certain spots where Fiziev is going to look for kind of kickboxing range, or even when they're in tight, he's okay with boxing range, but I just think RDA is going to look to push forward, get on him, and not allow space. Now, the takedown part of it, if he gets Fiziev down, it's interesting. But I do see that Fiziev has great takedown defense. He's really knowledgeable when it comes to that. And again, he really is able to pick up these shots, scramble, get back to his feet, work the angles. And that's, I think, it's going to make this fight a little bit longer here. So when we're talking about how this fight could go down, I really got to say that I think this fight is going to go to a decision. I do like Rafael Fiziev here. I think the minus 235 is a little bit high there, but I think this is a spot where you're looking at a situation where Fiziev has to use his footwork, work angles, be on the outside, but in the smaller cage, I think RDA can at least push forward, get his hands on him, and at least in certain spots make it dirty, or times that it's up against the fence. I think that lengthens this fight. I think it presents opportunities to push this fight into the 4th and into the 5th round. And I think, again, RDA is the kind of guy who doesn't really get finished. Out of his last 11 fights, only 2 finishes. So he is not a guy that goes out there, gasses out, or gets sparked, and that's the fight's over. He's gotten out there, he's gotten some victories, but I don't think he's the guy that's out there and he can be the one that's getting finished. He's got a lot of decisions over the last 11 fights. So for me here, I like Rafael Fiziev via points. That's going to be plus 130. I love that price there. I think it's a good price on a situation where a guy, he's going to have to be at least creating that space, and there's not going to be a lot of it. So I think there's going to be some clinching, and a lot of that is going to push this fight into the 4th, the 5th round, into the decision here. So I like Rafael Fiziev plus 130 to win via points. And the last player we're going to talk about here is Cynthia Calvillo versus Nina Nunes. We've got Calvillo minus 160. We've got Nunes plus 125. To quickly go over this one here, both these girls here have definitely fought some tough competition over the last few fights. You've got Nunes, she lost to Dern, Tatiana Suarez, Claudia Gadelia, and on the other side we've got Calvillo, she lost to Shikagian, Jessica Andrade, and Andrea Lee. So they've fought some tougher competition, have not had success there. But I think the first red flag on Nina Nunes is the fact she's moving up in weight. And you're talking about somebody who's moving up in weight at 37, I believe it is, 36, 37 years old. That's normally not a good thing. I don't care really where you are, you know, men's or women's, whatever it is. Normally at the end of your career when you're looking to move up, sometimes it could be there could be some certain factors that could be in there, but a lot of times it's an aging fighter who doesn't want to cut weight. It's an aging fighter who no longer wants to drain their body or either can't anymore, and they're seeing the effects of it, they're seeing that it's hurting them, and they're seeing that a lot of times too, I wouldn't say she's there for the paycheck, because Nunes, you know, Amanda Nunes, they're a family, I'm sure, is very well off at this point here with what Amanda has done. But with Nina, you know, it almost feels like it's just, I just want to show up and compete. I just want to show up and compete at this point, and there's kind of, that kind of hurts the situation where you're looking at a girl against someone like Calvillo, who they're not that far off of age, but they're on kind of different trajectories here. You know, it kind of feels like Nunes is kind of just showing up where Calvillo still is, you know, kind of growing. You know, she's 35, 34, 35, and she still, you know, hasn't really peaked. And she's definitely working on some of her skills a little bit more. So this is a spot here where, again, oh, here it is. I do have it. 36 for Nunes, 34 for Calvillo. So again, to me, I think Calvillo is going to be a little bit more hungry, where you've got Nunes, maybe she's more just showing up to fight, wants to show up on fight night and not have to cut any weight and go through all of that. But if you talk about stylistically here, you know, Nunes is a pretty bad striker. You know, she doesn't really put it together very well. It kind of is, a lot of times she's throwing it to cut distance to maybe clinch a little bit, and not really too sharp when it comes to that. And Calvillo, her boxing is a little iffy too, but I think it's better than Nunes. And I think that the difference maker is not just going to be the technical skills of it, but I think it's going to be the volume. And someone like Calvillo, who may not, you know, have the sharpest boxing, but she's willing to go in there. She's willing to throw. She's willing to use that and get in tight and try to get a clinch. And that's, I think, where she starts to have success. I think the pure volume of what she's doing is gonna help. The pure volume pushing forward. Nunes, not defensively too sound when it comes to her striking. She's gonna be, I think, randomly grasping onto Calvillo to look for a clinch when she's not winning these striking exchanges. I think that opens up opportunities for Calvillo to get these takedowns. So when you talk about the grappling side of it also, I got to give that to Calvillo as well too. Now, if they're on the mat and they're scrambling on the mat, I like what Calvillo can do there. She definitely is always submission hunting. She's very smart with her transitions, her reversals. She does a lot of great things on there. The only downside of it is she struggles to get the fight there on her choice. She doesn't have the greatest takedowns. Sometimes they're sloppy. Sometimes the entries are bad. She doesn't have the quickest first step. She doesn't hide it very well either. So there are some of those things. She has a 43% takedown success rate. You know, and Nunes is also someone who can at least somewhat defend these takedowns. She's had some good success with it. I know she just lost, I think Dern subbed her early in the last fight, but you know, she has over her career shown some pretty good, you know, grappling defense. So this is a spot here where I think this is another situation where the fight lengthens, the fight goes further. So I like Cynthia Calvillo, but I like Calvillo via points plus 150. I think a great number there. If you're gonna go Calvillo straight, I don't think that's a bad idea either, but I don't see a submission or either of these girls having the capability to go out there, get the finish, find the submission. I think it could be, you know, some sloppy grappling, some stand-up, and Calvillo goes out there and wins on pure volume. So for me here, it's going to be Cynthia Calvillo via points plus 150. So those are my plays for UFC on ESPN this weekend. If you want to become a client, link down in the description. And listen, we have had a great run. We have had a great run over the last couple of years. And we want to keep it going. And again, I always appreciate everybody, support, conversations that we have, and everything else. It's a great community. I always appreciate everybody. Again, liking, commenting, subscribing, all these great things here. And in return, we get some winners. So let's see how we do. And this is Kyle Anthony's UFC Betting Show, and I'll see you next time.